And we're going to briefly just talk about, give some advice for people who are going to be leaving this place and entering this workplace. You've all got very different stories, but a lot can be taken from all of those. So first of all, I just want to start with you, Liam.
Yeah.
You gave up a successful kind of job, a job which lots of people would want in its own right, being a commercial radio presenter. But you took that risk, you gave it up to study and then to get into the professional world. So what kind of attitude, what kind of drive and professional kind of attitude do you need to make that decision and to succeed and to go on?
Well, at the time, everyone thought I was mad, and I also thought I'd slightly gone mad. The managers at the radio station where I was like, well, you know, it's maybe not as easy out there as you think it is, and to be honest, I didn't really brilliantly know why I was doing it. I had seen kind of in commercial, I'd only ever been a commercial radio presenter, and I'd seen a lot of my friends in commercial radio, you know, they're on contracts, they're freelance, and, you know, bosses come in, and you're maybe not to their taste, and I'd seen friends of mine lose shows, and, well, what do I do? I've only ever been a commercial radio presenter. So I was like, well, what maybe I need a bit more behind me, and I thought, well, if I do something in journalism, I can still put together everything that I've done before. I know radio, I'm interested in this, and if it doesn't work out, then I maybe have some skills for marketing, for PR, and then came on the course and just loved it, and it you know reignited my love of radio again that I had when I was 15. And I think as well, kind of being out of radio for a year, but kind of still being in, because I would still meet all my radio friends, and still kind of have my ear to the ground as to what was happening. It was this drive of it has to work. I have to make this work, and you know, it can't. I don't want people to think, well, you know, everyone said it was the wrong decision, and thankfully it's completely paid off. And a managing editor at Radio Humberside said to me recently, you know, he retired, and I thanked him for everything, and he said, you know, well done. What you did was a complete master stroke. So I feel very proud of that. And that's where the drive came from, I think, really, that it had to work.
And did you ever feel like giving up? You did 7 job interviews, failed interviews, before you got the dream job. Did you ever think, oh my God, it's not going to happen, what am I going to do?
Yeah. With the BBC boards, the BBC, they're called boards, and they're a bit like a driving test, really. They're all points based, so you have to hit the points, and like a driving test, some people pass first time, others it takes more, and yeah, I genuinely did think, like, maybe I'm not meant to work at the BBC, maybe it's just not for me. You know, it's like that thing, isn't it, where some people do better at exams than coursework, vice versa. So I was like, but I've got this system, I've got to get past the system. But every time I failed one, if you ever go for one, you can ask for feedback. It's more difficult if you've applied and not got to a board, but if you don't get one, you can ask for feedback, and it's crucial you ask for feedback and try and make an appointment, because they will sit down with you on a phone call with you, go through each question and go through the answer, like, you should have said this, should have said this. So what I would do is I would have my board, and I almost make a document of all the board questions I'd ever had, and the ones that had tripped me up, because they're all kind of the same but in different guises. There's usually one at the end. There's usually a curveball, which is like, what's the last book you read? Or the one I got for 5 Live, the curveball question was, who inspires you? Who's your hero? Yeah. So I even had like a page of curveball board questions, and that's how I got it. And I completely never expected that 5 Live would offer me a job. My best hope was, I hope that they might go, look, you didn't get it, but here's a bit of freelance, or here's a 3-month stint. But yeah, it came good in the end. But yeah, certainly felt like giving up after 7. I thought it was a sign.
So Abby, you described your journey, and you've worked incredibly hard, obviously, since graduating, doing all kinds of multiple jobs at the same time. Is there something that you if you could speak to your pre-graduated self, is there something that you would say to her with the experience that you have now?
Brush your hair. say keep self-esteem. I think my biggest 2 tips ever is self-esteem and professional empathy. And what I call professional empathy is just when you're, you're lucky that you get all these kind of people coming in telling you, oh, this is how I did it. And I see about 1,000 CVs a day, and I know what's da-da-da-da, and you've got a network. And like all that is really relevant in certain ways, but you've got to try and keep genuine to yourself. So I felt like I was doing that, but like you said about the 7 interviews, you're like, is something telling me no? And everything does feel like no, no. But no is the worst that they can say, and no doesn't mean like, no, not you. It just might mean no, not now, or no, not for this project. So I would just say keep the self-esteem about what you enjoy doing. Try and have something in your life that you have creative control over, so that you get to express your skills, because you do have skills, but when you're applying for jobs and things, you just feel like, do you feel like you're that freelance state of mind where you're like, yeah, just 3 months and 2 days and I'll take whatever you've got. You think when everyone says a full-time job, you're like, me? Really? So try to keep top up your passion for what it is that you're doing. Listen to the radio or watch the films you want to see. Anything you can find that keeps you going, really, I would say. Because it does feel like, because you might see someone on your Facebook that's just, yeah, I graduated and I've just got to this position, and that is, you're so happy for them, that's so great, but don't think that is like true life all the time, and it's not all about a job title, it is more about the experience that you're getting, like you were saying about working 2 jobs. I worked 3 jobs for a long time, and you're thinking you've got to make a bit of a patchwork blanket of your ideal job, and each one will feed into the next, so it is worth it. Rest.
Bex, what was your experience of going from being a student here and living the student life, suddenly it's graduated and it's finished, and now you're expected to be a professional? What was it like changing from one to the other?
Oh, ridiculous. You suddenly become an adult, even though you are an adult when you're here. You're not. You're in your own little student bubble, you can mess about and, do what you want, and you suddenly think, oh, right, that's it. You need to crack on and do something with your life. And I think the mistake I made is I was too busy trying to get all my final year project done, dissertation done, and I forgot maybe applying for stuff. In that, because you are so highly stressed, pressured to get your work done, I sort of left that on the back bench. And so I definitely, I know it is stressful, but try and set up something for when you finish, because that's definitely something that I regret not doing. So.
And just finally, when you get your dream job, does it live up to the expectation?
Yeah, it does really. I mean, I describe working on Drive as like you get hero and zero days. So there's days where you're a hero, you get this amazing guest in the debrief. It's like, whoa, can't believe you got that on, and the presenters are really pleased. And then some days you have a 0 day where people just don't call you back. And the great thing about our show is that you see it as a blank canvas from 9 o'clock in the morning to what the prospects are to 7 o'clock at night. We've all put out an entire show. So there are bits where you sweat and you kind of go into the gents and you just kind of knock your head against a cubicle going, please, will that person just ring me back? Monday I produced half an hour. For the last half an hour of the show, we focused on one subject for half an hour. So we did about the Oscars, and I got on the producer, visual effects supervisor who won 2 Oscars. He'd been on The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Interstellar, Inception, and everyone was really pleased, and I went really, really pumped. Yesterday, I had to try and find a scientist who could talk about weeing in a swimming pool, and the stuff that you think is going to be really easy actually sometimes isn't, because you're kind of coming out of nowhere and invading people's lives and going, hello, will you go into a studio and talk about this for us? Where sometimes when there's a big story, like if you're doing the lead, for example, about Southern Rail strikes, it's kind of obvious who's around and who's willing to talk, MPs and stuff. So yes, it absolutely does live up to it and more. But yes, I call them hero 0 days. So there's ones where this might totally fly and it's amazing. You go home really pumped and you can't sleep because you're so excited. Then there's other days where maybe people don't call you back and you think, what am I going to do? And you kind of do want to go home and curl up in a ball. But the great thing is that it's a blank canvas and the next day is a new day. I guess the thing is the scary thing about having your dream job is losing it. So when you're freelancing and you're always trying to get places, so having the dream job and a show that you've always admired and working with presenters you've always admired, being with them and working with them and working there, walking into that place you've always been at, it's a bit like I really don't want to lose this. And thankfully I've just been renewed for another 9 months, so I don't have to worry about that for a while.